I praise God that Weight Watchers doesn't have a limit on how many times you can join. Because I've done Weight Watchers 9 times. And I've lost 7 pounds in all. It's because I don't follow it. And I know it works. I really do. I know it works, but I go more for the comedy at the meetings. I don't know if y'all have ever been to a Weight Watchers meeting, but it is so funny. Okay, like everybody comes up with recipes. Like the other day, we were there, and a woman goes, okay, if you put a teaspoon of cocoa and an egg white, and put a dollop of water in it and pray over it and put it in the microwave, you've got chocolate cake. And we've all got our iPhone out and trying to film her. And then somebody will get up and they'll go, oh my gosh, y'all, there's fat-free chocolate mint ice cream, but you can only find it at the Harriman Walmart. And people start throwing chairs and like running in a panic. This is what I figured out about myself. Okay, I eat, and I think it's because I'm from sweet country farming people. We value our children and what we've grown to eat and what we've killed. So my people use food for everything. If you're happy, if you're sad, if whatever. I mean, a celebration, woo, okay. And I know I've done that, and I know that I eat emotionally, but I never wanted to ride around in a minivan on dope or alcohol with little children in the car. I didn't want to drink whiskey. So my kids would get to fighting and my husband would say something hateful like, what have you done all day? And that would make me so mad, and I'd eat a hot dog and I didn't even know what happened. But Weight Watchers has a point system. So say you get like 23 points out of the day, and you got to go within those points, and they'll say, fruits and vegetables are free. You don't want fruits and vegetables. When you first start, you're so hungry that you could eat the wallpaper off the wall. A chicken breast is 3 points. A Snicker bar is 12 points. That's what you want. I've been known to be in the closet turning a lamp on and off, eating a sleeve of Chips Ahoy cookies. But I try to stay within my points. All right, my sister will go on it every time I will, and she lives in Clarksville, Tennessee, and she'll call me and she'll say, it's noon, and I've eaten all my points. Oh gosh, let me tell y'all about my third baby, my baby child. She just finished her first year at Sanford in Birmingham, Alabama, and we begged her not to leave us. She is so yummy and she smells good and she's funny, and so her daddy and I begged her to go to Phoenix Online. Because she is so fun, and she said, please get out of my butthole and quit staring at me. I'm leaving. So it's been so sad without her, but she's back home now. And but let me tell you about that baby, honey. So funny and so darling. but different from the other two. You know why? Because by the time she got here, I was beat down. I was so beat down. So tired. And just had given up. And their daddy, very successful, traveling around with Clayton Homes. And I know he's with Clayton Homes. We have dental. And so this baby, let me tell y'all about her. I have treated her different from all the other ones, honey, because, all right, everything that she'd do, like she'd start crying when she's a baby, because babies, you know, the third, fourth, and fifth, you know, they cry, and you just let them. And I'd be like, what's she crying about? She wants your toy? Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it. I remember saying, I swear I remember saying one time, you want those knives to play with? Okay. What? Okay. When she was at getting her driver's license, so different from when the first one got his. Honey, he got his, and we were so strict with him. We'd say, you can go to school, but you got to call us when you get there. You can only come home. And then after 6 months, we were like, you can go to Steak and Shake. And then you got to come home. So strict. Then the second one didn't care anything about driving, really didn't start till she was close to 17. Well, this baby wanted hers the day she turned 16. I didn't think she was going to pass it because she doesn't care. So, but she did because she's smart. All right, let me tell you, she's one of those kids that, I know y'all know people like this. Like if I gave her $20 and said, make it to New York tonight, she would do it and have money left over. Like she's, you know, people like that, like got it up. Okay, so she passed that test. I was so mad because I thought, oh, I'm not going to have a baby in the car with me anymore, even though when they're in middle school and high school, isn't that aggravating? When they turn that radio up and it's blasting and I don't like that song and booming and a-doing. And then I'm trying to drive and I feel like when I can't hear, I can't see. Oh, I don't know. It's awful. But she went and got that darn driver's license, and this is how different it was raising her from the first one and the second one. She got that driver's license. My husband and I were sitting there at night, and he said, where is she? And I said, I don't know. And he said, does she have any money? And I said, I don't know. Nobody ever said another word. My middle one, we go and get spray tans together. And I love them, and I feel thinner in them. If you're going through a hard time, go get a spray tan. Makes you feel like a movie star. Okay, well, we went the other night, and this is the difference for you young mamas out there. Like women going like in your 20s and 30s and even in your 40s when you still are, you know, have life left in you. Okay. There's something happens to you when you're in your 50s and it is wonderful. You don't care, okay? You don't care about anything. All right. We go to get a spray tan, and y'all know about Snapchat. There's a thing called Snapchat where you can video somebody and send it to your friend. Okay. Or send it out to the world, I guess. All right. I'm completely naked with a plastic bag on my head. In the spray tanning thing, and it's like a car wash. It does this. And then you do. And then you do. And then you do. Okay. And when it's cold outside, it feels like needles going in you. It's so cold. Oh, that's awful. But anyway, she started filming me on Snapchat, completely nude. Now, in my 30s and 40s, I would have been hysterical, and I would have been in a bowl, and I would have been so torn up. In your 50s, at first I was like, and then I was like, I don't care. I think I may have gone. I don't care. I don't care. It's a wonderful feeling. I hope y'all can all get to that one day where you don't care. Honey, it's wonderful. I just don't care. Okay. All right. She is a beauty. And I know every crow thinks theirs is the blackest, but she's always had a bunch of boys coming around wanting to date her. So there was one that came around, and he was a player. Do y'all remember that, player? Remember? So the young people call it player. My husband's not a player. He doesn't chat at all. So he never sweet talked me or, he's not that way. Solid, though, solid. I've got good health insurance. But, he has never, charmed, not that kind of man. Okay. Well, she had this one coming around. He was a charmer. He was a player. And so he would say to me things like, Miss Morgan, you look beautiful. And I'd be like, can I make you a casserole? And eventually they broke up, praise God, because I was exhausted. I was blowing my hair out every day and mopping the kitchen floor. Does Chuck Morgan get mad at you talking about him? And I go, no. He wants me to talk about him. He'll say, tell him this. He goes, why don't you tell him about the time I got arrested? Okay. It was over 25 years ago. We had 3 little children under the age of 5, and his company sent us the very first trip to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And I was so tickled that I was going to get to go. I'd never been anywhere like that. And my little mom and daddy took care of my babies for a week for me, so I didn't have to worry about them. And I was so excited. We flew out of our little airport in Knoxville, Tennessee. It took all day, like 12 hours, like mules, trains, planes, boats, I don't know, to get on the other side, the Pacific side. And we get in a hotel room. And I had to do unspeakable things. For 7 days. I never saw Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. By the end of that week, I was depleted. And then it was time to fly all the way back. Took another 12 hours to get back. We get into East Tennessee to our little airport, and we landed at midnight. And we had to drive up into East Tennessee where we were living, and I thought, if I could just put my hands on those babies and go to bed, everything's going to be all right. And but darn, if Chuck Morgan doesn't get pulled off by the police, I think he was going too fast. And what he ended up getting arrested for, it wasn't something bad, but we didn't know that. I think it was another ticket that he needed to pay. And we're on the side of the road, and the police car's in front of us, and I'm looking through the headlights at the police, and I'm thinking, this won't take long. We'll be out of here before you know it. I'll be home. They come around and they get his license, and then they get him out of the car and they take him around the front. And I'm watching all this in the headlights, and they cuff him. And he turns around at me, and I go, and he mouths something at me like, oh, good Lord, Leanne. And my whole life flashed before my eyes. I thought, he's in a drug cartel. He has another family in Idaho. I've always thought he had another family in Idaho because All of our married life, he has said, I told you that, and he hasn't. He thinks he's told me stuff, and he has not. And I've said, I've never heard that before in my life. Finally, one day I go, are you telling a woman in Idaho all this? I said, are you going to let her go to Panera, Chuck? Okay, let me tell y'all that. Chuck Morgan, when we met, we were at the University of Tennessee. Go Vols. And he was getting a master's in business and making straight A's and working 3 jobs and wooing me. And I was... a wreck, honey. I barely got out of the University of Tennessee. I graduated through the skin of my teeth. It took me years. I would drop out, go back, all that. Okay. But when I knew that I was going to get to marry Chuck Morgan, I thought, oh my gosh. He is so smart. He can do anything. He's going to take care of everything. He's going to work like a mule. And I'm just going to have a ball. I'm just going to... Well, we married, and I had my first baby by him. And it dawned on me one day. I thought, he's smart at work. Not at home. And I thought, oh no. Surely I'm not in charge. Surely I'm not going to be the one to have to tend all this. Because it was like 3 years before that I was dancing to Prince, When Doves Cry. You know, I was like... Well, let me tell you when it really freaked me out. I had my second baby. She was born April the 3rd. This was the last week of March. I was going to go at any time and give birth. And a big snow came in East Tennessee. There was snow on the ground. And I had my oldest baby Charlie was 2. He had quit taking a nap, was still in diapers. But he was a precious baby, but very active. And he would beat on the front door trying to get out so he could run down the yellow line of the highway. And I was worn to a frazzle. And I was about to give birth at any minute, and I got strep real bad. And my OBGYN was Pete, who was in our Sunday school class. And he was so cute. And I hated for him to see me that way. But Pete said, you got a horrible case of strep. I'm going to have to put you in the hospital, Leanne, overnight. You're going to have to get a bag of fluids and rest. And I said, for real? For real? I get to go in the hospital overnight? It's like somebody sent me to Turks and Caicos. They took me to the hospital, Chuck and had our 2-year-old Charlie, and they dropped me off early that morning and then disappeared. And didn't come back until late that night. And I said, where have you been? And he went, nowhere. I said, what are you doing wearing a sweatsuit and you're sweating? He said, okay, Leanne, I've been playing basketball at the rec center. I said, full court? He went, yeah, why? I go, who was watching our baby while you were playing full court basketball? And I looked down and my baby's got on a diaper swollen down to his ankles. And I said, what has he eaten? And he said, eaten? I said, Chuck, listen to me. I go, they're going to discharge me tomorrow at noon and they need you to bring me an outfit. Let me tell y'all what he brought me to the hospital. He brought me a pair of panties that were a triangle with strings on it. My belly button was that big. My stomach was out to here. I had to somehow try to get these panties on. I think I was crowning. I think I was crowning. Those panties were the size of Mark Anthony. He brought me a pair of 6-inch pumps. Black pumps. Okay, you girls that are my age, do y'all remember when Kathy Lee Gifford had her own line of maternity wear at Walmart? Did y'all remember that? It was to die for. It was very inexpensive, basic pieces, mix and match. I loved it. And then something happened with a sweatshop overseas. And they shut her down, and I was devastated. But anyway, he brought me a pair of Kathy Lee Gifford summer capris. Summer. There was snow on the ground in East Tennessee. Summer capri. He brought me a summer top that was not maternity. So it hit me about right there. And then a big old fake fur black coat that I definitely danced a prince in a club, honey. And I remember those sweet nurses rolling me out. And I know they got back in that hospital and looked at each other and said, "She's a prostitute." Let me tell y'all about my precious grandbabies. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yummy, yummy, yummy. I'm in love with them, and I hope I have 10 more, but I've got 2 boys, and they are 2 and 4. And my oldest one calls me Grandmama. And when he spends the night, he'll hold on to the railing and hold on to my hand, and he'll say, "Hold on, Grandmama, hold on." He thinks I'm feeble. It's very different being a mama than a grandmama. They're both wonderful, but they're very different. This is the difference, I think. When my babies want something, I'm going to give it to them. And my boy and his wife are wonderful parents, but they say crap to me. Things like no more riding toys. And I'm like, okay, but I cannot take back this Chevy with a gooseneck. And then they said to me the other day, "We're going to have to wean this one off his pacifier." And I was like, yep, that's a good idea. And then I went home and ordered as many as I could off the internet. Now I know why my little mom and daddy acted the way they did. They helped me so much, and my children would spend the night with them. And I remember going to pick them up, and I said to my little daddy, "Daddy, they've got a yellow film over their teeth. Had they brushed their teeth since we've been gone?" And my daddy shook and got so mad at me and said, "They didn't want to." My little mama, Lucille, every time when they were little, they'd go visit them, Mama would sling open that back door and say, "Welcome. Here's some magic markers right on the wall. Come on into Mama's house and go back and get Mama's bed and take this bucket of chicken with you. Take this bucket of chicken with you and this little bag of mini marshmallows and waller in Mama's bed. And watch Disney until 3 a.m. in the morning." I do the same thing, honey. I do the same thing. I know. Who doesn't love chicken in the bed? And let me tell y'all that we beg them all the time to go on